Well, hello and welcome. Lessons from a $30 million business. I'm going to share what I do differently and what I do again. So, if you don't build a scalable foundation, your growth will collapse under its own weight. And this is from a quote from the co founder of LinkedIn. This is something that I can relate to completely. I'm going to share with you how I built a $30 million business, lost it all, rebuilt my life, so you don't have to make the same mistakes. That's myself and my hubby, different hair color then. And we did a business launch at Movie World a number of years ago. We hired Movie World. We had an awesome night. We did some pretty big things. So I'm going to share this with you. But this webinar is for you. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, you're an ambitious professional, you want to scale smartly, but you don't want to burn out. You want to learn, and I'm going to share with you some of the lessons I've I've learned over the years, what I'll do differently, what I absolutely will not do again. So if you're ready to learn from experience, take action, and scale with confidence, you're in the right place. So let's get going. Who am I? I am Joanne Brooks. I help female entrepreneurs avoid mistakes. I reckon I've done over 1,000 webinars in the last few years. I've been a business owner or an entrepreneur for more than 20 years. Yep, I've launched 17 businesses in that time. And one of them I did build to $30 million in a 24-month period. Crazy ride. I also liquidated that business, which brought me to my knees, and that liquidation took 6 years to do. I'm going to say to you that building the business to 30 million in 24 months was much harder than fighting the ATO, the liquidators over 6 years. I'm an author, a business resilience mentor today, and I'm very proud to be an SBAA, which is the Small Business Association of Australia, and the Women's Network Australia ambassador and partner. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story. And this image is actually quite relevant. So you can see some logos up on the top right-hand corner, T3 Australia and Tamio and now Navigate Biz. That's the journey of the logos and the brands that occurred in this business. T3 Australia, I built in no time at all. I created the brand in no time, not a lot of thought. It was one better than the company I was working with before that had a 2 in it. It was F you, I'm going to do it better. But that did catch up with me, and I ended up building a rebranding to the new business, Antamio, which was a business that was never going to have a trademark issue ever again. And it stood for entrepreneurial learning to create acumen and mastery to the individual and organisation. It was a beautiful brand. And now today I operate under Navigate Biz. So there's highs in this story. I had an explosive success. I went from 3 staff to 110 staff in a very short space of time. I went from I was in the registered training organisation space, vocational education. I'd come up with a model that was very different to most RTOs. I experienced significant growth from enrolling probably 5 students a month to 200 a week. Massive growth. But yep, there were a bunch of blind spots that caught me unawares. I'll own it. There were market shifts, over-reliance on partners, unseen weaknesses. And then there was the collapse. I had to let 110 staff go, houses sold, and forced to start over again. So what's the relevance of this picture? The methodology that I used to grow that business was to create a framework, set up all the systems. I was a registered training organisation. I knew the compliance intricacies. I knew what I needed to have in place, systems, operations, automation, platforms, processes, all documented. So I knocked on the doors of my largest competitors in the RTO space. Again, registered training organisation for those who are not familiar with that term. I was known as a little orange speedboat because what they said to me was, you have the audacity to knock on our door and say you want to partner with us and access our funding. Who the heck are you? And so I had everything ready. Here's the procedures. Here's the workflow. Here's how this is going to happen. Here's how that's going to happen. And I said, I want to take a small portion of your funding, and I'm going to give you the exact same income that you're generating by delivering the entire qualification. I charged 7 times the standard price at the time for diplomas. So they thought of me as a little orange speedboat because I was nimble, I was fast, I could shift, I could change. Whereas a bit like the Queen Mary they were, and they couldn't do that. They could change and they could shift, but it was a slow piece. So I had all the platforms, I had all the processes, I had the systems, I knew exactly every step of the journey. But the lesson out of this, success without maintaining focus is a ticking time bomb. And that's what happened to me. I lost focus. I got caught up in the busyness. I got caught up in the high turnover, the massive profitability out of it. We worked really hard. We played hard. I had all the systems, but there were a bunch of things happening behind the scenes that did catch me unawares. And they were a number of things. The reality of my $30 million success before the collapse, there was luxury and lifestyle. There's no doubt about it. I had a beautiful home, investment properties, one of the most expensive private schools that my daughter attended. We did a lot of international travel. We took staff with us on international travel. The growth was relentless. I went from one office to 4 offices down the eastern seaboard of Australia. As I said, I went from 5 staff to 110. I went from 5 students registered with this organisation a month to 200 a week. We needed automation. The hustle was nonstop. I was closing deals daily, merger and acquisition talks, endless meetings, travelling from one end of the country to the other. There was literally no room to breathe. I was hiring 5 to 10 staff weekly. There was constant training, constant urgent demands on me. On the surface, it was amazing. The profitability was incredible. But beneath it, there were cracks forming. And I'll share those with you as we go along. What was the reality of after the collapse, after I liquidated that business? Let me go back a bit. I think it's important to cover this. The day that I closed my business, it was a perfect storm. There were some things that we did internally. There was a whole bunch of stuff external to the business that we had no control over. The day that I announced to my staff, and this was around about the 8th of November 2016, one of the hardest days in my life. Those days, there was no Zoom. There was only a conference call on a phone. So I had everybody dialed in. We had 30 or so people in the office in Brisbane. And I told them with tears coming down my eyes that I needed to close the company as of that moment. I was not, we could have struggled along for a period of time, but I didn't want to get closer to Christmas and go, you know what, it sucks, but you've lost your job now. And I didn't want to do that so close to Christmas. It was the worst thing that I could have done. So I made the executive decision that we needed to close this company, appoint liquidators, and that would happen as of that day. What did blow me away, and I'll cover it a little bit more detail, was when I told them I was closing it, I then asked the staff, I said, I've got 4 large offices I need to empty, and who would be prepared to stay behind to empty those offices so that I could sell the furniture before the liquidators got hold of it. 90% of them stayed. Blew my mind. Again, tears. There was lots of tears going on at that time. There was a lot of lessons out of that, which I'll share in a moment. So what has happened since that? So this all happened at my age of 54, and the reality of losing it all. Everything's gone. House, investments, cars, travel, all sold. I went from a homeowner to a renter. Wow, what a humbling shift that was. I totally get how people feel as a renter of a property and the treatment that you're exposed to. I had an unexpected debt that was a caveat was put on my property for a credit card that was taken out for the business, and just the day before settlement, I had to find $80,000 to clear it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to sell my home. We went into survival mode. By this point, my daughter had been working for us. She was managing a team of 10 in marketing. We both had to go and find jobs. The legal battles, the 6-year fight with liquidators in the ATO, 3 years of train commutes from the Gold Coast to Brisbane, juggling work and rebuilding. So a year later, I decided, myself and my business partner decided to start Navigate Biz. So we were doing that before work, outside of work, weekends. And from the wreckage, I've built something stronger. I had to start from nothing because I had nothing, but I have built something stronger. And you know what's the most important lesson here is I'm stronger. So you can see this picture of a tree, and it's deliberately got really big roots in here. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot. You cannot build a scalable business without good, solid foundations, and I'm going to cover that. And I believed we had that in the company before. So what's thriving versus failing is it's not just about revenue. Yeah, $30 million turnover was insane in 24 months, legitimately. But what I know, a lot of people think success equals more sales, which also equals you've got to work harder. I call BS on that. The truth is it's mindset, it's systems, it's partnerships, it's diversity. And what most businesses do is they chase revenue. What I know, the smartest people, entrepreneurs, build strong foundations. Let me share an analogy with you. And again, there's this image of foundations sitting here, done deliberately. Let me ask you this. I speak to many women in business and I ask them, you bring an amazing genius to your business. You have, you're a coach, you're an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a marketer, you're this, you make beautiful books, you're an author, you help people write books. Amazing. You have an awesome amount of genius in the skill set that you have. So I ask them, I say, so if you're going to go build a house, you know that builder's going to put foundations into the ground, right? We all know that. It's a true and fast rule. You have to put foundations in to hold the walls of the building up. So the higher you go, the deeper those foundations need to be. And I'll ask them, you have built a business. Why on earth are you not putting in good solid foundations, just like the building analogy, to build a scalable business? I would say to you, 90% of the business owners that I speak to, in the early times of their business, there is no thought of foundations. They think it's hard, it's corporate speak, it's not relevant to them. They do it when they get bigger and more profitable and more income, all those things. Well, I say to you that it's fantastic. The reason we grew so fast is we had amazing foundations. We had everything in place. There was lots of other perfect storms, which I'll share later. But good foundations will help you grow and scale your business. So let's look at some secrets. Secret number 1, lessons in leadership and sustainability. So there's going to be I'm going to share a few secrets. What I wish I had known, over-reliance is a huge risk. So many small businesses are one unhappy customer, one unhappy staff member, one lost big deal close to closure. And diversification. Let me give some context around this with my business that collapsed. We had all the foundations, but we were our income had one source. It had 5 at one point, but I was so busy doing deals and all these other layers that I lost sight of what was necessary to build diversity and not reliance on one income stream. It can shatter your cash flow overnight. And that's what happened to us. My main supplier, where I had an agreement with, they decided to turn it off. I had other income streams ready to go live in about a month's time, but I ran out of time. That happens when you've got a payroll of $2 million a month. That makes it pretty hard. So this links directly in diversification. Diversification in a number of layers. Different offers, different products, different customer suites, different suppliers. A simple strategy would have changed everything. I had one source of income. I had got myself so busy that some of those suppliers had dropped away and I had lost the focus of making sure I had diversity of income streams, and diversity was the thing that didn't exist in our business. But what I would do again is build a strong team culture. As I said, 90% of my team stayed without pay to empty my office. And leadership inspires loyalty. I cannot tell you, and I'm going to expand on this conversation. After I asked the staff if they would stay, I went back up to my office, tears, sobbing at my desk. Really, it was my baby. And I had one of the senior executives come in and he handed me a card and he said, Joanne, I had the team sign this yesterday, had no idea you were going to deliver this message today. But we saw that you were going through a lot and we just wanted to give you the card to say that we support you and we're here for you. And I went, wow, holy cow. I had no idea you were paying attention to the struggles. And I thought I'd put up a really good facade that everything was fine. But we had built a culture that I'd made a concerted effort. Whichever office I was in at any given time, I would walk from one office to one staff member at a time every morning and say, good morning, how's your day? What are you up to? How's things going? Is there anything I can do to support you? What does support look like for you? We would reward great behavior, great performance by taking those high-performing team members in our business overseas. We put 1% of our turnover in a fund account, and we let the team decide where that went. Now, you could say, oh, maybe that was part of the reason why you liquidated. Absolutely not. 1%. That's all. But we had some hell of a great time, and all based on performance. And I can tell you, those that didn't get to go that year, by golly, they worked their butt off to make sure that their KPIs were met and they could come again next year. We went to New Zealand. We started off with a picnic. The next one was lunch in a restaurant. We went to New Zealand. We went to China. We went to Hawaii. We went to Alaska. Amazing. So what are the takeaways for you? Culture is not just words. It drives value. And when I say value, I don't just mean, robustness in the loyalty and the tenure of your staff. It actually drives dollar value in your business. Diversification isn't optional. It's survival. It's a survival strategy. You need to be really clear about that. So what's secret two? Scaling smartly and the power of brand. What I wish I'd known. Rush growth was such a risk. Pacing is everything. I do remember thinking at some point during this stupid and crazy growth process that we were going through, I was scared to step off it because I thought, how can I slow this down? And I felt I could not. Diversification gaps equals chaos. Early strategic partnerships matter. And, the thing that I do incredibly different today, I find different ways of generating income for myself. Yep, I have one-on-one conversations. I do social media. I do posts. I host masterminds. I get myself on to the Women's Network Australia as a partner, as an ambassador. I do the same for LinkedIn, for Leadership Global. I do the same for Small Business Association. Those three associations have my audience. I have many strategies to get my business out to the market. Accountability is key, holding non-performers to standards. We had some staff members who, unbeknownst to me, were committing fraud. We didn't have enough checking going on in the micro. We were on such a rush to get this thing done. We didn't have enough. We had a plan B, but we didn't have a C, and we didn't have it before we scaled. We were doing it as we were going along. So what would I do again? I would make sure that branding and reputation mattered. I know that I registered our trademarks. I shared our story. I shared the story with the staff, the suppliers, my family, my customers, my everybody, to share with them where I was taking this business, because it did fuel my rebuild for the new one. I also know my personal brand is just as powerful as my business brand. So the takeaway, fast is good, smart is better. Scale at pace that you can sustain. So manage the pace. The CEO mind shift is secret 3. Growth starts with you. I get this totally now. Totally get this now. What I wish I'd known, that I was aware of those blind spots that I didn't see. I was so busy, I was not self-aware. I had a whole bunch of people around me, but they weren't the right people. A $2 million lesson, one conversation could have saved everything. I genuinely believe today that my supplier who stepped away was a $2 million bill that they owed us, an invoice. If I had been aware of what was going on before they had this conversation, just to turn it off, I know I could have had a conversation to look at how we could improve with our partnership with this organisation, and I could have saved everything. I genuinely believe that. What I do again is I own my mistakes. I did not own them during this crazy time. I said it was someone else's fault. It was the system. It was the partner. It was the supplier. I would make smarter decisions. One principle now prevents repeat. The one principle prevents repeat failures. Make well-informed decisions. This is what I would do time and time again. Get the data, understand what's going on, and make well-informed decisions. Your business will grow as fast as you do. Invest in yourself and invest in your leadership. So what are you doing to work on your business or just in it? I cannot tell you how much learning I have done in the last year. I've nearly completed my MBA. This is not about me going, well done, Joanne, but this is just telling you what I do as a CEO of my new business, to turn up, to be accountable, to be the person that I need to be to grow and scale my business, doing my MBA, constantly learning on me, my energetic mindset and how things work within me, removing those barriers, that internal speak that goes on constantly that we all have at 2:47 in the morning. What are you doing to learn and to grow yourself? Because I tell you, what I do know is you cannot grow and scale a business if you don't work on you first. You can't. You won't have the capacity to do it. So get yourself right, your inner self right. Get your skills right. Build your skills. Constantly learn. Tell you what, just because you're a CEO does not mean your learning stops. In fact, it has to step up. It has to step up. So where are you now? I'm going to share with you 6 business warning signs, and please don't ignore them. If you don't see the problem, you can't fix it. And businesses don't fail overnight. They slowly break down with hidden risks. And I will say to you that the cracks that were appearing out in our business, my business had been around for a long time. I've been in the industry for 20 odd years. It was not a 24-month overnight success. There was lots of things that I did to get me to that point to be ready to scale. But some of my business biggest mistakes, ignoring the signs until it was too late. As I said, if I'd had the conversation with the CEO of the business that we were working with and partnering with, and our only supply of income, because they had the funding, we got the students, but they were the ones who paid us. If I'd had a conversation with them a month before, I genuinely believe it would still be around today. So let me share you a number of these warning signals. When you've got cash flow chaos, the revenue is growing, but so is the stress. Sales are up, profits are beginning to disappear with expenses. You struggle to pay yourself consistently. Who pays himself? Probably most of us don't. Unexpected costs force you to scramble, to dip into your savings or to get payment plans. But what does this mean? Excuse me. Cash flow shouldn't feel like a roller coaster. Let me get a sip of water. My apologies. What's the fix for this? Implement a cash flow forecasting system, a monitoring system. What rituals do you have in your business to monitor your cash flow? I look at it every single Sunday. What's coming in? What's going out for the next week? What have I got? Where have I got to move money? I do it constantly. I have a cash flow forecasting system in Xero. Excuse me. What I know is when you don't manage it, when you're not working on it, you can't fix it. So one thing I would say to you, if you're not familiar with how to manage your cash flow, if you don't know how to do a cash flow forecast, if you don't understand the reports that your accountant is giving you at the end of each BAS, each quarter, each financial year, and it's gobbledygook to you, it is your responsibility to get yourself educated. Did I not just say that in the last slide? Education is key for you. You need to understand how to manage your cash flow. And I use the word ritual, if you can recall just a moment ago. Let me share with you, most mentors and coaches talk about business rhythms. Yes, they're valid. I prefer to use business rituals. Why? A ritual for me is something with presence. A rhythm is a bit like brushing your teeth. You just do it without a lot of thinking. You're just brushing your teeth. You're not thinking about it too much. But a business ritual is something that you give presence to, that you're actually paying attention. So implement business rituals to manage your forecasting system. And if you're not sure how, educate yourself. Warning sign 2, revenue, reliance, risk. Could your business survive if your biggest customer revenue source disappeared? You've just heard my story. It didn't. 50% of revenue comes from one customer, one partner, or one channel. You're dangerously risky. You will not see that from me. I've got passive income across three different levels. I align myself with 3 different industry bodies. I'm across numerous social media platforms. I am covering my ass on this one this time. You will not find that happening in my business ever again. This is a hard no. When you rely on one lead source, only Facebook ads, only referrals or single sales channels, or only delivering one-on-one, that's not sustainable. That's not scalable. You are exposed to a simple market shift, contract loss, and even a bloody algorithm change, and you could wipe out your income overnight. So what does this mean? If one change could cripple your business, that means you have no control over your revenue. How do you fix it? Diversify multiple revenue streams. Maybe it's new products, new services, different levels of product offering, market channels, industry bodies. Think about who has your audience in multiples. That's why I belong to 3 industry bodies and networking groups. So no one single factor can take you down. So if I lose one income stream, I've got a whole bunch of others. If I lose a major client, I've got a bunch of others. If one algorithm crashes on me, I've got other options. This is what I'm talking about. So warning sign 3, are you stuck in survival mode? Are you constantly putting out fires instead of growing your business? Are you working in it? Are you trapped in the daily grind? There's no time for strategy. And if you step away, you think it's all going to fall apart. This means you are always too busy to work on your business. You don't have a scalable system. Actually, you've created a job. You've not created a business. You've created a job. So how do you fix it? Delegate, automate, systemize. Free yourself from the daily grind and focus on real growth. Now, that might seem to you a little bit corporate speak, and I have had pushback from that from other entrepreneurs. And my pushback to them is when you emulate what happens in corporate, corporate do it for a reason. It bloody works. So find people to delegate to. And I'm not saying you have to go out and employ a whole bunch of people. It could be outsourcing. It could be full-time, part-time contract. Any number of ways. Is there an exchange of service that you can do that somebody, maybe you need marketing and maybe you're amazing at XYZ and your contact is fantastic at marketing, but neither of you can afford each other's services. Do an exchange of services. There's a thought. Think about all different ways that you can help that be solved. Are you the bottleneck? Do you have to prove everything? Is it only up to you? Nothing moves forward without your saying so. No clear roles for the team, and clients expect you for everything. So this means, again, you don't have systems, you don't have leadership, you're the only one making decisions. Again, build systems, delegate, set clear roles so the business can run without you being the bottleneck. And hey, guess what? If it doesn't rely only on you, you might be able to go get your holiday. Who's had a holiday lately? Because maybe you don't have the systems and the processes to enable you to do that. There's a thought. There's a win. Growth without control. Scaling can feel exciting. It shouldn't feel chaotic. Rapid hiring, no clear roles leads to confusion. Now, I will say to you, we had a brilliant hiring strategy. There was no issue with that. But I know there are people out there who hire relatives, friends, just because you think you can get them cheaply or they're going to look after you. I've employed family members. My daughter worked for me for years. I've employed friends, but they go through the hiring process. Set a process up. Make sure that they are the best candidate for the job. Operations quality or service is slipping and feeling messy. Solidify your processes. Revenue is up, but profits are shrinking. You're stretched too thin. Where are the expenses exploding and how can you control them? If you don't have, again, systems and processes and financial control, your business will break under pressure. Define the roles, strengthen operations, and focus on profitability. Scaling should be strategic. Definitely shouldn't be scary, stressful, any of those things. Grab back control and put in SOPs, standard operating procedures, put in policies. Have the team craft and create your values and your mission and your vision statements. Have them buy into why you do what you do every day. So many ways that you can fix this piece. And warning sign 6. So often, 95% of most businesses do not have an exit strategy or backup plan. Do you have a long-term plan or you're just getting through the day? Potentially, you've got no vision beyond 3 to 5 years. I might even say to you, don't have a vision past a month, 6 months, or a year. There's no contingency plan for downturns or anything going wrong. Your business is reliant on you. So what does it mean? You, again, don't have a clear future vision. I can tell you what I did. I love the one-page business plans, and I teach people how to do these. My one-page business plan told everybody what my future vision was. I shared it with new staff coming in, reminded existing staff, shared it with suppliers, shared it with partners, shared it with industry bodies. I tell everybody. I do not keep it a secret. Everybody knows what my exit strategy is. Everybody knows where I'm taking this business. Don't keep it a secret. Share it. Because you know what happens? Those people who buy into it come with you. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. Those that don't, exit gracefully. And I had a number of staff that exited our business because it was just, whoa, too big, Joanne, too fast, can't do it. That's cool. Let me help you find the job of your dreams. I didn't let them go and just work it out themselves. I helped them. I let them exit gracefully. But the people who stayed, we were building a beautiful culture. And what did I say before on one of the other slides? Culture builds value in your business. Do you know what also happens? When you put in standard operating procedures, when you have policies, when you have processes, when you have a vision, when you have a business plan, when you have a cash flow forecast, when you have all these foundations, guess what you're doing with your business? You are building monetary value in your business. So maybe your exit strategy is to sell. You've just increased your value. Maybe your exit strategy is to franchise or license. You need all these foundations in to enable that to happen. This builds value. Maybe your exit strategy is to simply walk away, and that's cool. You will run your business differently, but unless you've got foundations in, you can't generate the income you need today to retire and walk away in the future. It just won't happen. And you'll be scratching your head going, what happened? Oh, I wish I'd done that 10 years ago. So how do you fix it? Think long term, create a vision, develop a backup plan, build a business that thrives without you. So what's your biggest business blind spot? Let's go find out. Solution, business blind spot number one, business killers. Your business risks aren't the ones you see, it's the ones that you don't even know they're there. They will sink you. So as I mentioned to you a while ago, earlier on, one of the things that I found out close to liquidation was the amount of fraud that was going on. We were growing so fast. One of my staff members were an accountant. We had an accounting practice that we owned, and he was changing the invoices to his personal bank account. I had no idea. I wasn't looking close enough. We had reporting, we did this, we had team meetings, but he was able to hide that pretty easily. Look, have systems, have accountability, have KPIs. Look inside your business to know what should be done and what isn't happening. Know every role in your business. I did make a point of when staff are away, I'd go and sit in their desk and go, well, I'll be the customer service person today. I'll be this person today, because it gave me insight as to what was working, what wasn't, gives you the opportunity to identify issues early, fix them fast, and build a business that doesn't collapse under pressure. So that's problem number one, solved. Number two, when scaling feels like chaos. Scaling without systems is like driving full speed without brakes. It's not if we crash, it's when you're going to crash. So structure before speed. Set up the right processes so your businesses scale with stability, not stress. Again, standard operating procedures, workflows, automation, systems, policies, SOPs, HR, compliance. All these things are the foundations, the layers you need to build, and scaling then doesn't feel like chaos. I promise you that. Number three, you need somebody who's been there. The right mentor will save you years of mistakes and millions of losses. And it could be me, but it might be somebody else. Are you aware as a business owner that there are all sorts of coaches and mentors out there, and you might need all of them at any given time, a bunch of them at the same time, and maybe only one at one time? I'll share with you a story. I was talking to a prospect late last year, talking about bringing her into her transformation program. She came back to me. She said, I've got a solution, Joanne. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going forward with you. That's okay, cool. What have you done? What have you found? I found a life coach who's going to teach me business. And I went, do you actually understand what you just said? Yeah, she's awesome. So where's her business credibility here? Oh, I haven't asked that question. So Any mentor that you work with or coach that you work with, can I ask you to do one thing for me? If you need a life coach, great, go find a life coach, but ask them, how long have you been a life coach? How well is your business going? Can you share with me some testimonials from previous people that you've delivered life coaching to? If you're a business coach and that's what you need and you're searching for, please ask them, how many businesses have they run? I come across many business coaches, and I'm not saying they're good or bad or indifferent, but I will say to you, many of them, the only business they've owned is the coaching business that they run. And if it's hugely successful and they've got great testimonials and they can share that with you, fantastic. But if you're securing a business coach who's just left corporate, starting up as a business coach to teach you business, and the only business they've had is their coaching business, and they've only been trading for 1 or 2 years, I'm not going to say run fast, but I would say to you, ask more questions. So, because they're going to give you a well-experienced business coach, mentor, will get you personalized strategies. They'll help you avoid the costly errors and move forward with clarity and confidence. So check the credibility of the person that you're engaging, that they have the credibility, they have the experience, they have all the tools and resources, they have the network that you need. If you come on board with me, I'm going to introduce you to a lot of people. I'm going to get you into those industry bodies, because guess what? You can't do business alone, and you shouldn't do business alone. So you know what? You have a choice. You can keep struggling, hope you'll figure it out, and hopefully it'll happen before it's too late. Or you can take action, eliminate your blind spots, and scale with confidence. So my question to you is, what pathway are you going to take? So if you recognize any of these warning signs, you need to act. I've created the business blind spot audit. I'm going to share it with you for those who want it. You can connect with me if you want to go deeper. I offer full one-on-one strategies with you to create a plan to scale. And I've got online programs. So I know you can grow your business to 7 to 8 figures and beyond without the painful mistakes that I've made. The best time to fix your business is now, before it costs you hundreds, tens, thousands, millions of dollars. I don't want that for you. So what have we covered today? We've covered what scaling without chaos looks like. Fast growth without structure is disaster. And they're the points we've covered. The CEO mindset. Your business can only grow as fast as you do. If you are not constantly learning, growing, escalating your skill sets and your capability, your business is going to struggle to grow. The business blind spots audit. You need to fix these problems now. You can't ignore them. So I've been there. I've rebuilt. I'm rebuilding. And I know you can too. So if this is of interest to you, now, as I say here, opportunities don't appear by themselves. We create them. So if this interests you, this QR code will take you to booking some time with me. I thank you for listening. I appreciate your attention, and I wish you well in business, sharing what I do differently and what I do again from my $30 million business. You have an awesome day. Take care.